name is Jayel here.
Kia ora koutou te whānau, ko Deanna Isherwood tōku ingoa. Ko au he mokopuna o Ngāti He Kairo, Ngāti Karawea, Ngāti Turangi Tukoa Hoki, Ngāti Hine, Aroha mai.
I was originally with Tūwharetoa FM from its inception through from 1990 to 1992.
The shifts I did on air were the top 40 on a Monday night. That was D&T, myself and Te Mohi. Yeah, otherwise we'd just fill in wherever. You never knew what shift you were going to get until someone rang in sick. But that's what we used to do back then. It was no format, no structure, but a lot of fun.
I did the news, various shows, but primarily had a shared show called Ham and Eggs with Ian Bidwa, and did a heavy metal show afterwards, which was a power hour, and eventually went on to be called the Graveyard Shift.
I was with Rangi Eria, Auntie Egi, when she said to us, I have a dream, Māori radio. Back then, you know, we were just like, yeah, okay, Auntie, good luck, carry on. 2 years later, got a phone call from her and she said, I'm having a meeting, you want to come through? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not doing anything, I'll come. In that hui, there was Rangi Eria, Dixon, Chapman, a couple of nannies from Taupo, I couldn't remember who they were. My mother was there, Auntie Henry Ham was there, Heta, Ngā Waido and Jayel. And so they said, you know, we're going down to Wellington tomorrow to have a look at Te Upoko, Te Ika.
Because at the time they were only allocating to start-up radio stations, especially Māori ones, AM frequencies. And because of the composition in our area here, we couldn't really use an AM frequency too well. So we went to argue for an FM frequency. And
that's when they told us, oh, by the way, we're going to sit in front of the Waitangi Tribunal. What? Oh, and you two are speaking.
So I was 17 years old. I've been with them just a little over 2 weeks. And here I am sitting with a small group in front of the Waitangi Tribunal, arguing for an FM frequency and having no idea what the hell I'm doing.
Found out we were the only rangatahi to get up and have the privilege to speak in front of the tribunal. And we were just blown away when the judges came out and mihi to us, because we were like, what? You know, two little hillbilly kids in front of this big thing. But the mana was there and we were very, very privileged. And then about 3 months later we got another phone call, the radio station, it's going ahead. So there was myself, Jayel, and Egan had joined, Egan Bidwa.
They found a place at the old Waitangi Polytech at the time, and the manager at the time was Marlon Nepia. And they decided that they were going to train us at the station there and have some actually course accredited papers for us to actually do while we were doing it. So they broke in a few other ones, and that was Jude and Damien Tyler, Tuhi Hepi, Tamina Mohi, and eventually Jolene Hepi and Raymond Church. Before Jolene arrived, we actually needed music. So we went to Wellington and stayed there for a week. And at the time, all you had music-wise were records and tape decks. So the only way you could get music was record someone's music. And they had heaps of music. And because it was a Māori radio station, there was a content requirement. So we had to get as much Māori music as we could, just to help put that content on air. So we spent 4 days there, basically staying on the station, recording as much music as we could. Brought it back, started to get ourselves sorted.
Damien and Tamina were brought in to do the art and marketing.
When we first started off, it was basically during the day from say 8 till 5 in the afternoon before we started going to evenings, and would use their Starnet system at the time to stream in live broadcasts from other stations. Our setup at the time was a what is now a DJ small DJ board, about so big, yep, with a crossfader, 2 levels, with 2 record players and 2 tape decks and 1 CD player, and that was it.
You know, we were thrown in the deep end, learned how to fade and how to make sure you turn your mic off when you finish talking, and just everything. And February, can't remember the actual date, it's the 16th or the 23rd or something like that, 1991. Te Ika o Tūwharetoa went on there.
We developed our own shows. We all had different shows, all different times. That was one of the stringent things I said, oh yeah, I'm happy to participate. as long as I got my heavy metal show, that was just the one thing.
And it was a blast. It was just cool. So yeah, we didn't have any structured roles. We just all learnt how to do it all, and we just learnt how to interact and interchange. Our 6 a.m. brigade was Nani Rangi Maria Turner and Nani Betty Hart, and you could guarantee 5:45 they were there. And thank God for Heta, because he would be the one that would operate all the machinery, because none of us were ever awake.
So for about 6 months, I was getting up 5 in the morning, preparing for the news, doing that till 8, then doing our course from 8 till 3 or 4 in the afternoon. On the Thursdays, golf, we had a touch tournament then, go and play touch, back to the station at 7 and do my show through till midnight. So a lot of time, a lot of effort getting the race.
I remember we made the mistake of giving out the phone number, because we think, oh, no one's listening, just our mothers. And Uncle Marla Nepia got annoyed because it was actually the Polytech number which we were with. So they were getting a lot of phone calls, but they were for the radio station. And then in 1992, Marlon said, we're going to set up a radio journalism diploma. So there was about 12 of us, 13 of us that went through and did it. And yeah, we learnt copywriting and stuff like that to make us sound a little bit professional, but we didn't want to lose that Māori kaupapa. You know, Nan, your cow was on the road, can you come and get it off the road? You know, we were the pānui for the town, really.
We were getting quite a few laughs and everything else of us just really taking the piss out of each other. At first, we worked really hard at it. Egan was meticulous for scripting it out. It was basically scripted with him taking the piss out of himself, and I would fill in all the repartee in between, and we'll just feed off each other. But it was all written out for the first probably about 2 months before we got into a rhythm where it became normal for us to just do that stuff. The show was getting picked up by other stations, and we became popular to the point where the phone would not stop ringing for 4 hours, just with people requesting songs or wanting this or wanting that, and it just got really ridiculous. I think because of where we were in Tūrangi, we're quite isolated, and being brought up here, you didn't really notice how much notoriety you were getting until you went outside the rohi and visited other schools and stuff, and that was a bit of an eye-opener too.
You can tell people so much, but when you're in front of that mic and thing, you've just got to always be that point. You're happy. You know, you may have had a real bad day outside, but you walked into that studio and it was, I'm happy. We made it work, and it was the first time we all used Leo on air. You always knew that Dixon and Rangiria were somewhere in the building, and you could hear them cheering and clapping. And I mean, back then we all had our mihis written down because, you know, we'd think, but it was just hearing the deal on air. And then Katipo came in, and so that expanded it, because it's like, oh bro, how do I say here's the weather? Anei ngā tohu a tāwhiri mātia.
Te Atarangi was part of our course, and it had to be there because Uncle Kiki was one of our fluent speaking Tūwharetoa, and he brought in his son, who was the last person to jump on with us and ended up being a manager for, I don't know how many years that Katipo was a manager for.
Because we sort of became overnight stars. I ended up getting a job with this little radio station called Buzzard FM. So I was there for 6 months doing everything I'd learnt here. Unfortunately, my father got sick, so I came home. 6 months later, they became the Edge. So coulda, woulda, shoulda. And this is how we got our top 40, because we had no money. So we would have whānau in other cities taping the music off other radio stations. And we got that good at, we were always like 2 weeks behind, because by the time they taped it, sent it back to Tūrangi, and then the boys would get in and edit it. So we were hip, but yeah, we did it illegally, I think.
Tūwharetoa FM was part of a bigger plan for Tūwharetoa, and it was going to be the voice of Tūwharetoa, and they were going to branch out to TV, etc., etc. at the time. And all those original board members, I don't think one of them is still alive now. Marla Nepia, Uncle Jim Biddle, Uncle Huri Maniapoto, Uncle Stephen Asher. they've all passed. They had a big vision. Just amazing to see that Tūwharetoa FM is still here after 30 years. Fantastic to see, that people who were there when I left are still here, like yourself.
It was a privilege and an honour to be part of that first crew that broke through the door for Tūwharetoa, and the fact that it's still operating, and I'm very jealous of this whole environment. We had a tiny little room, so the fact that they've continued and just gone from strength to strength, it's proud, because I can say that I was back there in the beginning, and for me it's part of our legacy.
Good luck for the next 30 years.
And yeah, just here's to another 30 years plus. I'd say in another 10 years it's just going to be tūturu Māori, because all our babies are coming through and they're the ones that have the reo, and it's just going to be natural just to hear that reo, and that was the original dream, to have the reo on the airwaves, and it's been completed, and now it's just keeping the legacy going. Ngā mihi.